Flood zones. Flood zones are the thing people worry about most when they're buying in Southwest Florida, and for good reason. But most buyers moving from out of the state don't actually understand what the designations mean, what they cost you each month, or how to look up one before you even make an offer. So hopefully by the end of this video, you will learn how to do that. So let's break everything down clearly. Just a real quick note, if you're already looking at specific properties in Southwest Florida and you want to talk through the flood situation on something that you found online, I'm happy to hop on the call and do that with you. My team and I work with buyers from New York, New Jersey, and Illinois all the time, and the flood zones questions come up in literally every single transaction next to hurricane risk. So link is in the description to book a free call. Okay, now let's get into these zones. So who maps out the flood zones? This would be FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency. Maps flood risk across the entire country. They publish the flood maps for every address, and those maps determine which zone the property falls in. So the zone affects whether your lender will require flood insurance, how much that insurance costs, and ultimately what your true monthly home payment is. So there are 3 zones you need to know. Zone X is the lowest designation risk. It means the property is outside the 100-year floodplain, a planning term that means there's roughly less than 1% chance of annual flooding. In Zone X, your lender typically won't require flood insurance, but you can get it voluntarily, and some buyers do because you never know what happens and it's just for peace of mind. But it is optional and much more affordable. So many of the properties in Port Charlotte and Punta Gorda fall into Zone X. This is the zone that most buyers are hoping for. So AE is where the conversation starts to get serious. So AE means the property is inside the 100-year floodplain. So if you're getting a mortgage on a home in Zone A, your lender will require flood insurance, period. There's no negotiable there. These properties are common in Southwest Florida, especially as you get close to water, canals, and rivers, specifically the Charlotte Harbor. They're not unbuyable. There's plenty of great homes in the Zone AE, but you need to know what you're going into and budget for your insurance accordingly. Zone VE is a coastal high hazard and the highest risk designation. These are properties that are closest to open water and the coastline. These properties carry the highest flood insurance costs. These are typically the beachfront or very close to it. Now you can check any address yourself by going to msc.fema.gov. So that's FEMA's flood map sender. I'll link it in the description as well. So you type in any address and it pulls up the flood map for that location and tells you what the zone is. Do this on any property you're seriously considering before you even make an offer. Don't rely on the listing sheet or the seller's worker. You have to verify it yourself as you have a due diligence period to do so. So how much does flood insurance actually cost? So flood insurance can come through FEMA's program called the National Flood Insurance Program, or NFIP, or through private insurance carriers. So FEMA rolled out a new pricing model in recent years called Risk Rating 2.0. So the key thing to understand is it prices its policies based on each individual's property flood risk, not just its zone designation. So what that means is practically that 2 homes that are in the same zone AE can have meaningfully different flood insurance costs depending on the property's specific elevation, construction type, and their distance to the water. Zone X is where the flood insurance is optional. So you might want to skip it or carry it at a relatively low to modest cost, sometimes even a couple $100 a year. So in Zone AE, a typical annual premium through the NFIP often runs $1,500 to $3,000 or more. Private market options sometimes come in lower, but it's worth shopping both to see where you land. So Zone VE premiums are very high and they vary significantly by the property. So what does this mean for the Charlotte County buyer? So here's the practical picture for buyers focused on the Port Charlotte, Punta Gorda, and Inglewood area. A meaningful portion of the non-waterfront housing stock in Port Charlotte is in Zone X. That is a real advantage. So you are not required to carry flood insurance, and that will be a real difference in your monthly payment. But like I said, there are some people who get it just for a peace of mind because you never know what hurricanes or the weather can do. Now, your waterfront homes, canal access, or properties that come along the Peace River, the Charlotte Harbor, or near any tidal water are more commonly AE or V. Those are properties worth getting the flood insurance quote on early before you're emotionally attached to the house. Punta Gorda's historic downtown and areas near the harbor have more AE zone properties. Some neighborhoods took significant flooding from Hurricane Ian in 2022. That history is relevant and worth understanding. So the rule I give every buyer I work with is, please verify the zone before you fall in love with the house and we make an offer. And get flood insurance quotes as part of your due diligence, not if you've already fallen in love and you're locked under contract. Flood zones are one of those things that feel complicated until someone walks you through it clearly. Then it's actually pretty manageable. So if you happen to have a specific property in mind that you're looking at and you want to review the flood situation, the zone and elevation certificate, if there is one, what the insurance will likely cost, that's exactly the type of thing I do on a call. The link is in the description, and subscribe if you want more of this kind of content. I've got a full video coming on Florida. I got a full video covering Florida homeowners insurance pretty broadly, which goes hand in hand with what we've talked about today. As always, thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next one.